Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Hello and welcome everyone to another Comic Movie Marks video.
Who knew the big box office battle of this spring was going to be AMC and Universal? Universal had some success with a random movie, Trolls World Tour, and now all of a sudden there's some fighting on the streets.
Trolls World Tour, the downfall of theaters and the movie experience. Who would have guessed that this little tiny doll with ridiculous f***ing hair would completely screw over the movie experience?
You didn't see that coming?
We've been talking about this a lot lately on the Comic Movie Marks channel, talking about streaming and how much it's changing the landscape when it comes to Hollywood and how movies are going to be distributed, how they're going to be produced, and how they're going to be handled in the future. Video on demand and streaming is the future, but how is it going to mix with the theater experience? But there's still movies out there that you want that theater experience, that truly immerse you into it, like 1917, Interstellar, Spider-Man Far From Home.
Fuck off.
As Netflix has shown, the streaming wars are amping up. Not only are major studios coming out with their own streaming service, HBO Max, Disney Plus, and The Cock, video on demand and streaming is becoming more essential than ever. Now, Disney had a blockbuster 2019. They had Endgame, Captain Marvel, Far From Home, Lion King, Aladdin, several movies all broke the $1 billion mark that were complete rehashes and pieces of shit, but for the most part really did well in the box office. And they absorbed Fox, so they also take some of Fox's box office now for any movies that was being distributed through 20th Century Fox. They made over $13 billion in 2019, obviously setting huge records and dominating the landscape of 2019 and the box office. Well, then you look at Netflix. How much did Netflix earn in 2019? $20 billion.
Good Lord! That's a lot of money!
Not so fast, Mr. Mouse. You have competition.
When you look at the profit to revenue sharings, yes, technically, profit-wise, Disney did make more out of their $13 billion than Netflix did. When you think about it, Netflix continues to grow. They had a record-setting Q1 this year. Streaming is the future.
From The Hollywood Reporter, Universal revealed that Trolls World Tour racked up an estimated $100 million in premium video on demand rentals in its first 3 weeks in North America, more than enough to put the film on the road to profitability, according to the conglomerate.
NBC Universal CEO Jeff Shell says the results of Trolls World Tour have exceeded our expectations and demonstrated the viability of personal video on demand. He also says as soon as theaters reopen, we expect to release movies on both formats.
The amount of money I'm going to be making would hurt your parents' feelings. You remember the class where I taught you all how to make it rain? That's what I'm going to be doing every single night. Dollar bills, y'all.
In a strongly worded letter to Universal Filmed Entertainment, AMC Theaters chairman and CEO Adam Aron says Shell's comments were unacceptable. AMC is the largest circuit in the world. Aron wrote, "It is disappointing to us, but Jeff's comments as to Universal's unilateral actions and intentions have left us with no choice. And therefore, effective immediately, AMC will no longer play any Universal movies in any of our theaters in the United States, Europe, or the Middle East."
Guess what, motherfucker?
So CEO Adam Aron apparently has a little sand in his vagina, and he doesn't like how Jeff Shell said what he said. That's not fair. Let's not have our cake and eat it too. Captain Buzzkill Adam Aron also states that any movie makers or any other distributors in that case that go this route, that break that status quo, will have the same response.
Surprisingly, Universal did respond to these statements, stating, "We absolutely believe in the theatrical experience and have made no statement to the contrary. As we stated earlier, going forward, we expect to release future films directly to theaters, as well as personal video on demand when that distribution outlet makes sense. We look forward to having additional private conversations with our exhibition partners, but are disappointed by the seemingly coordinated attempt from AMC and NATO to confuse our position and our actions. Our goal in releasing Trolls World Tour on personal video on demand was to deliver entertainment to people who are sheltering at home, while movie theaters and other forms of outside entertainment are unavailable. Based on the enthusiastic response to the film, we believe we made the right move."
Other comments being said going forward, AMC will not license any Universal movies in any of our 1,000 theaters globally on these terms. Accordingly, we want to be absolutely clear. AMC believes that with this proposed action to go to the home theaters, simultaneously Universal is breaking the business model and dealings between two companies. It assumes that we will meekly accept a reshaped view of how studios and exhibitors should interact, with zero concern on Universal's part as to how its actions affect us. It also presumes that Universal in fact can have its cake and eat it too.
Get in my belly!
Regal's parent company, Cineworld, decided to throw their hat in this bag and jump on the Universal beating brigade. Cineworld's statement says, Cineworld's policy with respect to the window is clear, well known in the industry, and is part of our commercial deal with our movie suppliers. We invest heavily in our cinemas across the globe, and this allows the movie studios to provide customers all around the world to watch the movies in the best experience. There is no argument that the big screen is the best way to watch a movie. Universal unilaterally chose to break our understanding and did so at the height of the COVID-19 crisis when our business is closed. More than 35,000 employees are at home, and when we do not yet have a clear date for the reopening of our cinemas. Universal's move is completely inappropriate and certainly has nothing to do with good faith business practice, partnership, and transparency.
So if we're done measuring dicks.
So obviously the theaters are banding together now against Universal, and the idea, or the concept anyway, of releasing a movie on video on demand and in theaters seems to hit the theaters in a sore spot. Which presumably makes sense because this is their livelihood. This is what brings them money. Even though really it's the concessions that theaters make most of their money off of, not necessarily ticket sales, but you got to get the people in there from the start. We pose this question to you. What really matters to you? Would you prefer the video on demand system? Do you care that much about the theater experience? I know when it comes to Shane, and I'll let Shane tell this story more than anything, but when it comes to him and his larger family, it is easier to stay at home.
Yes, exactly. In a lot of cases, if I'm going to take my family to the movies, there's 5 of us currently, it is easily going to run me over $100. So it better be a damn good movie. And in a lot of cases, I would much rather stay at home. I have a pretty sweet home theater set up. I can pop my own popcorn, make whatever food I want to, and I'm not dropping over $100 just to go see a movie. Obviously, it varies from movie to movie. Some of them we want the theater experience, but I have to make those decisions, and this actually gives me a great opportunity on the video on demand option.
I take my kids to the movies to see Avengers. It's $150. I'm like, I don't even want to see myself that much. You know, whereas I have a great sound system in my house with a great TV. I have my own popcorn maker. I got my own cabinet with my in it. You know what I'm saying?
For me, I would always prefer to go to the theater over being at home, even though I do have a pretty sweet setup as well. I have a very large TV, surround sound and everything, but it's only 2 of me. So, 2 of me.
What's the matter? Get off! Let's get off before he wakes up. Come on. I'm not through with you, Buster. I'm not through with you!
Let me rephrase that. That means there's only 2 in this household. My girlfriend and I, that's it. So it's a lot easier for her and I to go to the theater and spend not that much money, compared to Shane anyway, for that movie theater experience. But unfortunately, we always have bad luck with children in a lot of these movies, even rated R movies, because that's predominantly what my girlfriend and I go see. Somehow people still bring their kids in. Man, do I want to throw those kids across the fucking theater. At some sense, I kind of do want to stay home for that factor as well. Theaters, in my mind, are going to have to step things up. You're going to have to entice people somehow in some other way. Either drop your prices, make things more reasonable for someone like Shane and his family to go to those theaters, or add something to it. For instance, our theater has a luxury experience. You have a full recliner system, table, you can get decent amount of food, you can get wine and beer. A lot of other theaters that I know of anyway don't have that type of experience. So that type of experience is more enticing to us compared to the other theaters that we do have here that don't have any of that. We will always go to those ones, even if it does cost $1 or $2 more for that experience. And that's just us. So that's just 2 old guys and what they prefer. So how do you bring in the family? Well, that's where theaters are going to have to start thinking outside the box instead of just being angry at studios for wanting to pocket a little bit more of that money. Because when you do video on demand and when they start doing this stuff on their streaming service, when you have HBO Max, Disney Plus, and the Cock, that revenue that they get from video on demand comes straight to them. They're not sharing it with a theater chain. Of course, these studios are going to start looking at their pocketbook and determining what works best for them.
What year is it?
AMC and Regal, they're gonna have to figure out a way to adapt and bridge the gap with the studios. You don't want the studios to take everything in-house and completely eliminate them from the process. You want a great partnership and find another way to bring kids and families back into your theaters and continue this. As someone who absolutely loves the theater going experience, I hope that that's not something that eventually 5-10 years from now that's completely gone.
AMC, Regal, and the many other chains that are out there really need to make sure they adapt to this situation. Do not go the way of the Dodo and Blockbuster.
I am never going to financially recover from this.
All right, that'll end this episode, guys. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for subscribing. We've seen a great rise in our numbers lately. Finally, the algorithm might be kind of working our way a little bit. We're kind of getting back in the swing of things and seeing those numbers that we were seeing previously before. Hopefully, the content is continuing to keep its whatever trailer trash levels that you expect from us.
And thank you very much for clicking that little notification bell. I really hope that that's helping and shooting you the little notifications whenever we post a video. Also, we'd like to send an additional thanks to all of our Patreon supporters. We do have a Patreon if you are interested in supporting us.
In case I don't see you.
Good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Did you just double dip that chip?
Excuse me?
You double dipped the chip!
Double dipped? What are you talking about?
You dipped the chip, you took a bite, and you dipped again.